Hello my friends, I'm Duchess and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can improve your drawing using my 4 tips. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional artist and I do not teach art or drawing professionally, but I have been drawing for as long as I can remember. While I talk about these tips, I wanted to put a video of me sketching so it's not too boring. Let's get started. Alright, tip number 1, practice. Now I know you've probably heard this like a million times and you have even felt like it doesn't matter how much you practice. There were times I felt like this as well, but I love drawing so much that I didn't mind if my drawings were ugly or not. I just loved the feeling that I got from drawing, and I knew that practice would make me better, just like studying makes you better at taking tests and remembering random things. That's how it all starts. You can't improve at anything unless you're willing to look like an idiot. For example, if you want to get good at running, you're probably going to look like an idiot at first because you can't run that fast and you're not nearly as good as someone else who might be pretty good at it. But if that discourages you and makes you stop practicing, then you will never be good at running. So practice drawing. This means drawing over and over and over when you have time and just practicing daily. Growing up, I drew every day. At school, I often doodled in my notes. I drew on my composition notebook covers, on my homework papers, and anywhere there was space. Most days, when I didn't have to study, you would have found me drawing in my notebooks all day from the time I woke up till the time I slept, if no one bothered me. Of course, not everyone can afford to spend all of their time drawing. Eventually, when I got older and I went to high school, I didn't have that luxury anymore. I had about 6 younger siblings at the time, and I took AP classes and honor classes, so I was usually doing homework and studying, and I didn't really have much time to draw, but I really wanted to, so I made time. I woke up at 3 a.m. for a whole year so that I could draw for 2 hours before going to school at 6. I probably got about 4 hours of sleep every day, but it didn't bother me because I guess I was young, so I didn't really ever feel tired. So there really isn't an excuse for not being able to practice. I do recommend drawing every day so that your skills don't get rusty. I know some days it's just hard to draw and everything you make that particular day is more ugly than usual, but that's okay. Just take a break, come back later, or continue tomorrow. It's okay not to practice every day, but it's just recommended because it just keeps you practicing those skills. I promise that you will improve if you practice. You cannot improve in anything if you do not put in enough time. To see more, click the top right. You'll see a video of my art journey where I redraw a drawing from a few years ago. Tip number 2, use references. For a long while, I don't think I used references. I usually drew from my imagination, but after lots of studying and research, I realized that references are actually very important. References help us to understand the structure and composition of an object or being. Without it, you are solely relying on your memory and your ideas of what you think something might look like. Has there ever been a time when you imagined drawing or making something, but when you made it, it was nothing like you imagined? Not even close? Well, that's where references come in. Using images from Google, Pinterest, or wherever can be very helpful when you're drawing because it's an image of what you want to draw and you have it right in front of you, so you're not just trying to visualize and think about it in your mind. Plus, if you draw from memory, you might not even notice what's wrong about your drawing because you have nothing to compare it to. You can't tell if it's actually proportional or if it actually looks correct. When I was younger, I never used references, and at one point I drew people with elongated necks, and I didn't notice it looked weird until I noticed that people's necks really aren't that long. I'll show you guys an example of the benefits of references. This is a drawing of my OCs without references. The body anatomy is okay, but it's not really great or anything. The lighting is fine, the clothes are not too eye-catching. Overall, I'd say this drawing is a 3 out of 10 for me. I drew this maybe 3-4 months ago, so it wasn't that long ago, but I wasn't really using references at the time. Now, this one is a drawing of the same people, but in different clothes and poses. I used references for this one. The body anatomy is pretty nice in my opinion. The clothes are noticeably dazzling, much better than the previous drawing, and it just has a different feel to it. I think this one might be a 7 out of 10. It allows you to see the real thing while you're drawing, and it drastically improves your art. There's just no other way to explain why references are just so beneficial to your art. so use references. Tip number 3, be observant. You must be wondering, what do you mean observant? But it's exactly what it means. Tell me, how did you learn to draw a circle? How did you learn to draw your mother or a tree? Did you just magically know how to draw all of these things? The answer to that is no. You observed, and that's how you learned to draw it. You wanted to draw a scenery? Observe the trees outside. Look at the flowers you pass by on your way home. Look at the grass in your front yard. That's how you improve. I did this all the time while growing up, and I still do. As an artist or a person who loved drawing, I was always looking around for things that could help me improve my art. Because I was hyper aware of things around me, like people, art, drawings, and clothes. If I saw a really pretty girl, I would observe what made her pretty. Maybe it was her long eyelashes, or curly hair, or the way she dressed. Then I would apply it to my drawings and make my drawings better. Just don't stare to the point that the person gets creeped out, though. I try not to stare too long, so I just glance and take note real quick so they don't think I'm a weirdo or anything. But most of the times, if I'm looking at someone a little too long, it's probably because I'm trying to figure out what about them looks nice. When I watched Barbie movies, Sailor Moon, Ever After High, or Disney movies when I was little, I also made sure to remember what made the characters look nicer or what I thought looked nice so I could do the same. I paid attention to not just the real objects around me, but also like just shows and things that I watched, which was very helpful. I know it seems weird, but it really does help. Observing the objects and things around you really helps you improve your drawings, because watching a YouTube tutorial or a TikTok isn't the most convenient way of learning how to draw. Even now, I still observe objects and people. I struggle drawing the human body, so if I see someone sitting in a position that I like or want to draw, I would look quickly at the elbows, the positioning of the arms, the shape of the back, because that's what I struggle with most. So make sure to observe. Tip number 4, use a sketchbook. The fourth and final tip is to use a sketchbook or just paper when you are sketching or practicing. Growing up, I never had electronic devices and digital pencils, so I always used printer paper, line paper, notebooks, and eventually sketchbooks, and that's how I really developed my art skills. I didn't learn how to draw digitally until about 2 years ago, so I took all of my knowledge from my traditional artwork and I transferred it to my digital artwork, and now I'm solely digital, but when I practice sketching, I always sketch in a sketchbook or on paper. The reason for this is because it's less daunting and it allows you to draw freely. In a sketchbook, the paper is completely blank and there's no pressure to sketch or draw professionally or make the lines perfect and neat. However, practicing digitally may intimidate you and make you feel like you need to practice and draw it perfectly because you can see every line and every mistake that you make. I'll show you what I mean. As you can see, I'm hesitant when I put my pen down and I struggle to draw my lines with confidence. This is because drawing digitally pressures me and makes me feel like I need to sketch or practice nicely. I can see every mistake and odd line I've drawn very clearly, and that is why I keep sketching and fixing my lines and just redoing a lot of the lines that I make. Now, when I draw on paper, you can see that my hand moves smoothly and I'm not really uncertain about what I'm doing and how I'm practicing. I'm just kind of drawing. The lines just flow, and even if I mess up, it doesn't really bother me because I'm just practicing. These are all my tips and ideas about how to improve your drawing. For some of you, it may only take a few years to become a phenomenal artist, but it may take much longer for the rest of you. Everyone progresses differently, and that's okay. As long as you stay motivated and are determined to improve, you can definitely improve. I didn't draw anything fancy today, so there will be no actual sparkles. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you like this video or learned something new, please give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you guys next week.